Hello quilters, it's Marianne Fontana, fontanaoriginals.com, and I'm going back to Quilts of Valor, but I always love making these, and I hope you like this one. It is called Cross Your Stars. Now, obviously it's a cross. They are large blue squares and applique stars, and then the squares are just strip pieces, so they're really easy to do. And since it's actually probably a popular pattern. This idea of doing the stripes and the stars is not new to Quilts of Valor, so I've tried to make it a little bit different this time and come up with multiple layouts that you can use by twisting and turning the blocks. Now they're all going to end up with crosses. I really like the idea of a cross. It's kind of a blessing. You know, it's a nice thing to put on a quilt, or at least I think so. And it's simple to make. Layout you decide to make, you need the exact same number of red and white stripe blocks, the exact same number of blue squares, the exact same number of There are two main blocks, and obviously you can see them behind me. The star block, which consists of a 10.5-inch cut square, how easy is that, and a 7-inch applique star. Now I have pre-fused the back with fusible, and then we're going to go ahead and press it onto the fabric, and then we're going to make our striped block, which consists of 2.5-inch cuts. And you will need 3 red and 2 white for every block. We're going to make 20 of the striped blocks, and we're going to make 10 of the star blocks. Now as you see, I've already made a few. And I'm just gonna show you how easy it is to put together, and then we'll talk about how to twist and turn the stripes to get the different looks. Sewing the stripe block together couldn't be easier. All we need are the 2.5-inch cut strips, and I've cut them to 2.5 by 10.5 because it's a 10-inch block. And yes, you can sew all the strips together and then cut them, but I prefer to do this. I think it works out just as well, and it's just as quick. Anyway, you will need 3 red and 2 white for each of string piece them together. Stitch the red and the white together. Just sew all the way down, and you don't really need pins. So I just hold them in place. It's very simple. 2 pieces, leaving the white at the bottom, facing up, and I'm going to put another red strip, right sides down, on top of the white strip, and then sew. Now we'll go ahead and grab the other piece, and I will match them up just like that. Pull it back, hold it with my finger, and then just make sure my seams are lined up. You get another white one, and I'll just take a few stitches, and I come down to the other end. I will match up my corners, pull it back. Last one is the red. That is your stripe block. I pre-fused my star onto the blue square, and the blue square is just a 10.5-inch cut square. It was a 7-inch cut star, which was pre-fused. I used a seam. I've peeled it back, and I've pressed it onto the square, lining up one point so it's in the middle and making sure the others are equidistant apart. My walking foot is on, and I've set up my machine for a blanket stitch, and I've set it at 3.0 and 3.0, and that may seem large, but it is a 7-inch star. Start in one corner, and I'm going to I like the walking foot because it paces the stitches and it makes them come out really even. When I get close to the end, I'll slow down and watch as the stitches go in to determine when to stop. And I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to turn ever so slightly and take 1 stitch. I'm going to turn again. Now, because I know the next stitch is going to go this way, so I'm going to take advantage of that and let it stitch, and now I'm going to let it go across. I'm going to turn slightly, let it take the next one. And if you need to, you could realign your presser foot to go in the other direction and then continue down the other side. And you can sew as fast or as slow as you need to keep control. I like to start with my needle down in the corner, and I'm going to rotate very simply just like that and go down the next side. stopping and turning. I turn again. And I just do that wrap around. Down and turn. I'll do one more. I'm at the end. When I get to the end, I'm going to slow down a little, let it go into the corner, back up, and then I can cut it off. And there is our star and the satin stitch. See, the points don't look too bad. I zipped kind of through those. So you will make, as I said, 10 of the 10.5-inch squares with the 7-inch star. Close-up with this star block that's been finished, and again, this would be the way I would lay it out. And then my stripe block. Just like you did for the large 10.5-inch squares, the 4.5-inch cut squares that you're going to put in the corner of the quilt will also get applique stars. These are actually 4-inch applique stars. They may be a smidge tight in the block. You can go with 3-inch if you like, but I'm going to risk it and go to the 4-inch star. And I've done my little top stitching on it already, so these are ready to be inset into my border. Here is what one of the finished versions of the quilt looks like. And I do have my blocks here, and then I have borders, and we'll talk about those once we get the main thing put together. And then these are the 4 different design layouts. Now, basically the difference is the first is it's vertical, horizontal, and then it's exactly the mirror image on the other side. When you look at design 2, it's just the reverse. It's horizontal first, then vertical, and it follows that way all the way down. The second ones pretty much have one complete row all the way down, all horizontal, all vertical. Then you have your stars, and then vertical and horizontal, and this is just the reverse. You start with the vertical and go to horizontal, and in both cases I have them, they're formally balanced the same on both sides, and those have been my choices. I tried ones where they were more eclectic, where this was horizontal, vertical, and then this was horizontal and vertical, and I didn't like it. I like formal balance, so that's the way I've designed the 4 layouts. Do layout 1 just for your reference. I'm going to start and lay my stars down. Now every single row has 5 blocks, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks down, so you have a total of 30 blocks. You have 20 stripe blocks, 10 of the blue blocks with the stars, and you can mix and match them any way you want. I'm choosing to always keep the star as a cross down the middle. My stars. It's 2 and 2, right? And then I have 2 across here and 2 across here. Now, when I actually sew my pieces together, I'm kind of a perfectionist, and I'm going to go around and try to put it with every single one where a point is facing up. That's my personal preference. Some people look at me and say, why would you bother? That's just me. I like to do it that way. I just think it looks neat and clean, and I just like the look. So you can do what you like. I like them all pointing up. So now we have to decide, and I'm going to use the first design layout, which was vertical, then horizontal, then horizontal, and vertical. And you like these little scraps of paper? I print 1 copy of the quilt so I can kind of follow it along. And I'm doing opposite now of what's there. And I've skipped right over the stars, so I can actually go like this now. And just as long as they're opposite each time, as long as you start correctly, you'll end up with the layout that you want. So let's just finish this. And then once you've laid it out the way you like it, let's look here, it's a little bit better, you can see everything. You'll sew the rows across and then sew them down. Let's look at the border. There are two stripes. There is a blue and a white stripe that goes all the way around the quilt, right? Okay, but the corners are actually 4-inch squares. So these are 2-inch finished strips, 2.5-inch cut, and this is a 4.5-inch cut square, 4 inches finished. So you're going to sew the blue and white strips together for the top and the sides and the bottom first. And then once you do that, you're going to sew the two sides on. Then you're going to sew one each of the 4 patch blocks to the upper and lower strips that are left. And then you will attach them and your quilt will be finished. So I hope you enjoyed watching my how-to video for the Quilts of Valor Cross Your Stars. And again, there are the 4 different layouts. Now, this pattern is available for sale on my Etsy shop. So you go to etsy.com and look for Fontana Originals. And they say, are you looking for the shop? You say, yes. And then you click on it and you can go in and look for my patterns. If you forget how to do that, you can always go to fontanaoriginals.com, to my website, and you can click into everything from there. You go to my shop and purchase the pattern. You can go to my YouTube channel and you can watch how to make it. Keep in mind that while the pattern is $8, you may think it's expensive. It helps cover the cost of me making the video. I also donate 20% of the sale of every pattern back to Quilts of Valor annually every year. So please make a quilt for a veteran. If not, be sure if you see a veteran, thank him or her for their service. Happy quilting.